Hey, everybody, this is Bevin. Welcome to Bevin, a femme over 40 and her friends podcast. I'm your host, Bevin. I've said my name 3 times. It's time to start the show. Big ups to my co-host, Biscuit Reynolds, who is in spirit, but still with us, snorting and being an adorable little smash face cat. Feline overlord. That's really what he was. Okay, so Amanda was on this podcast on Dolly Parton's birthday, January 19th this year, talking about like her past and what she's overcome in her spiritual journey. And then I witnessed her after that episode release her muggle job and just like quit the day job. And I have had so many of my friends and clients talking to me about my guides told me I need to quit this job. My guides told me I need to release this thing in my life. And like I'm watching them like hold back their power, like little hands just holding up like a tidal wave. They're holding back their power because they're not surrendering to what spirit's telling them. And I just think Amanda has been such a great example of what happens when you release and flow and surrender to like what is happening in life. And so I'm really excited to be here now in June of 2024, just revisiting with Amanda and hearing about the hot water heater miracle of 2024. And I'm really, really excited for you to all hear this. My previous episode with Amanda was episode, I just looked it up. Man, my memory is great. 159, episode 159. So go back and listen to that when you can. I don't think you need to listen to them in order, but I think this is a cute little pair of episodes. I'm excited to do it. I love this podcast. I love getting to share these stories with you. And the best way to support my podcast is my Patreon page, Patreon, patreon.com/FKDP, which stands for Fat Kid Dance Party, which is my aerobics class for anyone who feels left behind by mainstream fitness. If you've ever been called too much, too fat, or felt too awkward to dance, mine is the supportive class for you. I'm so grateful to have this membership because it enables me to really follow what spirit is guiding me to create. And of course, like I'm still steady on the aerobics classes. At any level of membership, you get access to my Zoom classes. I have a tier that has on-demand membership. So you can, there's like more than 20, far more than 20 aerobics classes there now, including a bunch of grief stretch classes and things that can help you process things and become more in alignment with your spirit. I even just filmed a morning stretch class that has like the prayers that I say in the morning, and something that I have been guided by spirit to lean into more. And I think it's because so many people right now are like leaning into their spirituality, because frankly, in these times of uncertainty, this is the time to develop a strong um, connection to your guides and to the spirit help that wants to come through and is available for everyone. Free game from the universe. So if you want to learn from me about my self-care and my spirituality process, practice, I created a course about that. So that's in my membership at the spiritual lessons tier, which is included in the on-demand membership. So the spiritual lessons tier is $17. And I'm also developing a flower oracle and so much in there. Gonna do other classes and other things about what I've learned. Because I've just kind of cobbled together my spirituality. There's an episode I did a couple of episodes back on my podcast about how I create my spiritual practice. So I'm there. I'm available for you if you want the help. If you want to support the podcast and you don't want a membership, you can also just buy me a treat. There's links in the show notes about how to do that. And I'm just so grateful that you're here. I'm here for you. I have this podcast. We've got so many episodes now for you to introduce, or for me to introduce you to so many different people who have lots of ways to be a happy, successful adult. There's not just one way. I think we're raised to believe there's like one or two ways, like be a rock star or get a job, be a sports star or get a job, right? But like, there's actually way more ways to support yourself and to be a fully fledged human being on this planet. And I also am just grateful to have my blog, queerfatfemme.com, that's available. It's kind of like all these lessons I've learned on the relentless pursuit of my joy. So that's over there too. So if you ever wonder what I've experienced, maybe you've got a quandary, Google that plus queerfatfemme.com, see what I've written about. I don't know. I have compassion and love for every version of myself that has ever existed. And I know that I've never been perfect. And so I'm releasing any shame for the ways I might have gotten it wrong. So please have grace with me as I have grace with all of you. I love you. Thanks for your time, treasure, and talent in this world and showing up for my podcast. Welcome back to the podcast, Amanda.
Hi, thank you, Bevan. Thank you for having me here. It's so good to see you. I'm excited.
I'm excited too, and partially why I'm so thrilled to have you back is because I've been telling people in my real life your story of this, last 6 months. And so I'm just excited to have you tell all of my podcast besties about what happened when you quit your muggle job. Um, so I just want to point out you and your cute headset, if you're not watching the video, this is what you looked like at your muggle job.
Yeah, absolutely. This is what I looked like. I had to wear this thing for 4 to 6 hours a shift, and I'm so grateful to not have to do that anymore.
Tell us about your muggle job, because the muggle job came in at a really good time for you and like really helped you get some stability and get some roots going, because sometimes your passion and the work you want to do in the world needs you to get a job. So tell us about that.
Yes. So when I had gotten the job at the utility company, I was doing gig work basically. I was doing Grubhub and Instacart. Deliveries, which paid the bills, but it's really like it's hard to like meet your goals when that's your only source of income. And so I had received an email one day um, from that company asking me to apply for a position. There's a part-time position open. It's a flexible schedule. You choose your hours. And I was just like, wow, is this a dream come true? Like it's work from home. So I'm like, okay, let me apply for this job. This seems fitting somehow. Like it seemed like it was meant to be. So I applied for the job. I got the job. And I started working from home. And at first, like it was great. It was exactly what they said it would be. Pick your own hours. You have to work at least 20 hours a week. And I was like, this is perfect. I have space to be free. I can do the cake jobs. I can have time for spirituality and have this income that's going to ensure that my bills are paid and all of that. Um,
You
so
even
I
got a
really,
month off in the summer, right?
yeah, 30-day break in the summer, unpaid, but still a 30-day break in the summer where I didn't have to work at all. Um, and it was good. Like I jumped into that job. I feel like I was a very good employee for them. I went to work every day, on time, developed a good relationship with my manager, um, and just helped as many people as I possibly could. A lot of the calls were um, billing calls, like someone's either upset because their bill's too high or they can't pay their bill, or maybe they're making a payment and they just can't figure out the automated system. Things like that. That's mainly what I handled. Anything else, like starting new service or stopping service or moving, anything like that, I got to transfer that to another team, which was awesome. But then like the other half of that is like there are people who are calling in that are financially insecure. They're having issues. They're elderly people with receiving their retirement benefits, and they're struggling to pay the bills when there are increases in prices from this utility company. And it made the job a little more difficult, honestly. And so after about a year and a half of working there, a spirit continued to tell me every day when I would wake up at 6 a.m., quit this job. It would just be like the first whisper that I would hear upon waking, quit this job. You wouldn't have to wake up to this alarm if you would just quit this job. And it was just like every day, they're like, you don't have to do this. And so then,
Okay, before we get into this part, I just want to point out that the utility company also changed things, because it used to be at the beginning of your job, people would call just to pay their bill. But then like they changed the option for people to call and just pay your bill. And I remember you being grumpy about that because like you had good interactions with customers and like everyone was happy, right? But then because of corporate greed, Like they changed the interaction and the customer service thing. So not only are they like upsetting their clients by like rate increases and like all of that kind of stuff, but they're also upsetting their employees by like changing the tenor. Cause then you're only dealing with people who have a problem versus dealing with people who just want ease in a solution. And I think that like corporate people just aren't thinking through the experience for everyone when they're just like slashing things, because they just see people as a line item in a budget and they don't see their customers as people, and they're losing out on great employees like you, which not only are you objectively a great employee in your own estimation, but like many people you worked for and with thought you were too. Okay, keep going.
Yes, I agree. And that was a really huge issue. It was like people had to use the automated system or pay online. And, I mean, people are people. So, there's TV blaring in the background, there's a dog barking, there's kids screaming. We're all at home doing our best, right? And those callers would have issues. Um, and then it's like, sorry, I can't help you. Let me get you back to this automated system. And I mean, some of those calls were just yucky. So yeah, Spirit's like, you don't have to do this. And another thing that they changed. So before I went on my 30-day break, I was a part of a group that like got to help in the group chat with other employees. Like other employees would have questions and we would be able to respond quickly and help them navigate their calls easier. And then um and then they took that away from us too. Like
Wow.
they just were like, oh no, my manager's like, I'm sorry, we can't do this anymore. Hold times are too long or there's too many in the queue, or it was some reason that they had to stop doing that. Um, and so I became less happy about working there. I was like hating waking up in the morning, not looking forward to Mondays anymore, things of that nature. And Spirit's like, you don't have to work there anymore. And so after like the initial shock of like every day I'm hearing like quit your job, I start like talking back to Spirit, like, okay, like how, if I quit my job, then how am I going to pay my bills? And the next thing I heard was trust, just trust us. And I'm like, oh, that's so hard. It's so hard when you come from a background of like poverty, right? And like I had just came out of like trying to find a home for myself and couch surfing kind of, and just kind of trying to find my way through. So this was really scary. I'm like, how am I going to be able to quit my job? But the void, like the Spirit didn't stop. They just would not yield on that. They're like, quit your job, focus on your bakery, quit your job. And I just heard it over and over so many times that I finally quit my job. And so it was like the second week of January. On that Friday, I put in my 2-week notice letter to my manager and logged off of the computer and went through the weekend, had a good weekend. And then Monday morning, I tried to log in and I didn't have access to the system.
Hmm.
And I'm trying to get a hold of my manager, and it was like an hour before she would message back. And I'm just like, I think this is just a clear sign to just be done because I'm so frustrated. It's Monday morning. I'm trying to do a good deed by like working for 2 weeks, just to soften the blow for my boss who like, I'm sure she's a great person, but at the end of the day, she'll have someone else replace me, right? Like it is what it is. It happens all the time. And
Oh, okay.
so
I also want to point out here that you do not owe your bosses 2 weeks notice, because they can fire you at will for no cause. Like they can just, it's like, most of us live in an at will state. We don't have the labor protections we could have. And also, what was it that like finally really took you over the edge to like really trust Spirit? Because they're saying to trust you, but like a lot of spiritual alignment is like a jolly free fall and like a trust fall with the universe, right? So like what made you
Mhm.
just like really, because you were talking about this for a while before it happened.
I would say something that helped me make the decision was speaking to Andrea, Universal Answers. She gave me a birth chart reading and like a current reading from my birth chart and um, basically told me like you're not going to be happy, you're not going to feel whole until you like just work for yourself. That
Hmm.
is like your calling in your, as far as your birth chart goes. Like that is something that you need to do. And it's really hard work, but like as long as you do the work, like it'll be fine. Um, and so there was that, but it was mainly like the nagging from spirit. It was just like the nagging from spirit. And I would like think about, go over like orders that I've had. And, I'm like, okay, so I make enough to like pay my bills with the cake orders that I receive. I may not have enough money to like do whatever I want, or do anything extra, but like I'll be okay. Right. And I think that was enough with the astrology advice to go ahead and go through with it. And like I was really tired of hearing spirit nag at me about it. Oh, another thing that happened. I went to mediumship development class and I got like 3 messages from people in class and they were all like, you're going to be fine. You're going to like, and they didn't know what I was going through, but it was just like, they were all telling me like, basically like, you're going to be okay. Focus on the things that you're good at and everything will be fine. And so I just was like, all right, it's time to do it. And I typed out that job. Like you said, I don't have to give a 2-week notice. And that's true. And most jobs that I've quit, like you could call all my previous employers and it was like Manda was here one day and the next she was gone. And like we never saw her again.
Gemini thing.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm trying to be a better person. So I'm like, all right, I'll at least put in my 2 weeks notice. And then I should have just quit because I quit, the following Monday. So now I know, just listen to spirit. It's going to be fine. And it has been fine. Like, I feel like it's been even better. I feel like more magical things, more gifts from the universe have opened up since I released that job. It kind of helped my body energetically, like the flow is a little easier. So yeah, so far so good. It's been 5 months and nothing, major has happened. I still have my home, my lights are on, we have Wi-Fi, we have food, like we have enough. I have enough and I wake up every day really grateful. Like I don't wake up and like not look forward to the day. It's like, okay, what do I need to accomplish today, right? And then I accomplish all of my goals or tasks, and my body lets me know when it's time to go rest again. And I do that. And right now I'm working on like not feeling bad for resting, like, and just being in that space of peace and serenity with myself while I let my body rest and while the upgrades are happening and everything is changing. It's really, really lovely.
Oh, I love it. Okay. You also got rid of your couch.
Yes. A month later, I got rid of my couch. So I had a sectional in my living room that I never sat on. Um, the only time it really got used was if I had like family over for a holiday. So like what, 3 or 4 times a year at the most, this couch is getting used. And I just felt like it was blocking the flow of the energy of the house. I don't know what it was about that couch, but I was just over it. So on February 25th, which was my nephew Fred's birthday, I had family come over and we had a little dinner for his birthday. And then at the end, I had the men that were here help me get the couch out of my house and take it to the dumpster. There just happened to be like a dumpster right across the street, and we were able to use it. So yeah, they broke down that couch and took it out of here. And I still don't have a couch, but it's fine. I'll get a couch eventually, or I won't. My home has more of a like chaotic Gemini art studio vibe at this point, and that's perfect for me.
I love that. I just feel like your example of obedience before understanding to spirit is like goals for me. Like I feel like sometimes they need to like prime me for a really long time before I take action, and I like that you're like, the vibes are off, let's do it. And let's talk about the hot water heater miracle of 2024.
Okay. So one Sunday morning I wake up and I can hear water dripping. And so the hot water heater in my home is in my bedroom in a closet, like a little closet just for the hot water heater, right? And so, like, what is that dripping? And like, I look in the bathroom and like, I don't see anything in there dripping. So I'm like, it must be this water heater. So I open the closet and look, and my water heater is just like dripping from the top. There's like water leaking out of the top of the water heater and just like dripping around it, right? And um, water is like getting the floor wet, but there is like a drain there, so like it's draining out under the trailer, but still, it's just like it's a lot. Like it was shocking to see that on a Sunday morning, and so.
When you're just trying to
uh,
vibe. You're just trying to have your Sunday, and then suddenly there's something to deal with. That's like, I feel like sometimes life is like bring on another problem, bring on another lesson, but like that's living. When you run out of lessons, you run out of living. So,
This is true. This is true. And it was a problem that needed to be solved. Um, it could have been worse. It could have gotten worse. So I called my dad over, and my dad and a friend of mine disconnected the water heater, and then at least like they ran a line so that way I had running water, but just no hot water, right? And I'm like, all right, let's figure out what's going on. Well, my friend Janae, one of my very dear friends, shout out to Janae, she's the best. She's like, I have credit at Home Depot. We can use my credit card there. We'll get you a water heater. No big deal, right? Well, then there was an issue when she tried to check out, and for some reason her credit was lowered and it just didn't work out. And so for a couple of days, I was just kind of like wallowing in my unhappiness about it, and uncertainty and like, what am I going to do? This is crazy, trying to decide what's to do. And
I mean, you're a baker. Like you run a
yeah,
bakery out of your house, so you need hot water to clean things. You're like having to heat up hot water on the stove to like sanitize things so that you can do the thing that brings you money, right? And like, but
right.
you have a nice bathtub and you want to fill that bathtub with hot water, like, and a new
Yeah.
hot water heater, how much was it?
A new hot water heater, let's just say about $850
It
just for
surprised
the water
me.
heater itself.
Yeah,
Yes.
it surprised me how much it was, but it also, inflation. So,
Right, right. Um, and so after a couple of days, um, I really felt the urge to just create a fundraiser. Come up with a fundraiser. I can sell things, I can make things for people that can compensate me for those things. And you know, we can raise this money, right? We can make it happen. And so I did. I had a fundraiser. I released it Saturday morning, which was like almost a week later. So like 6 days later, I released this fundraiser. I decided to offer goodie boxes for people. Um, and then also the offering of like, you can pre-order a cake. Like if you have an event this summer, you can pre-order your cake now and pay for it. And I believe I had a discount there. Um, so I released that, and then, I mean, it was a miracle, honestly. Like by Monday evening, the water heater was installed.
and like, and
I,
it wasn't just like the money from pre-orders and the money from treat boxes, because that all flooded in because your community wanted to help you. Like you told everyone about the problem, and everyone meaning like Facebook and Instagram, right? It wasn't like you
right.
texted people, which you could have done, right? It's fundraising is a thing, right? But
Uh,
like you had a need and you had just quit your job, like just a couple months before. And so like, and I love that in that post you said spirit told me to quit my job. So like, this is just like also people who are on your side who really want you to be following the call of spirit, um getting the opportunity to rally around you, get some treats, and like and I remember you had a random order come in the day before you launched this from Reverend Charles, shout out Reverend Charles, who said like, just whatever you feel like making me, I just want to get a treat. And so that kind of indicated to you like, oh, I think this is a real fundraiser thing. But then you also had other, because people's resources are their time, their treasure, and their talent. And you had someone else offer to go and pick it up for you, so you didn't have to have a delivery fee. And like you had your dad and someone else who could come over and help you get it installed. So like there was also some talent that was offered too, in addition to treasure and time.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad and my stepmother helped me install it. It's not an easy job, honestly. In a mobile home, there's a gas line because it's a gas water heater, and it's like a foot and a half tall, and it sits right in front of the water heater. So like the water heater has to be like hoisted out basically, and then like easily put back in unless you like turn off the gas, take the gas line apart, put it back together, and hope that like it's done correctly and there's no leaks, right? It was just it was a lot. So we did it, and then like we're still friends. Me, my dad and I are still friends. We don't hate each other. We got through it. It was a tough job. And yeah, shout out to Kim Wolsifer over at Camp Chesterfield who went to another town and picked up this water heater for me and brought it to my home. Um, it was really amazing. So yeah, Reverend Charles just randomly sent me $30 to PayPal. And then like I saw him later on at Camp Chesterfield and he's like, "Did you check your PayPal?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Check it. I sent you some money. I just want you to make me something. Like you pick out what you make me. I just want something yummy." And I'm like, "Okay." Like that was Friday night. And so I was like, "Okay, this is a thing." And even Claire, like, Laughter Yoga Claire, she was like, "That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for like, here's what I'm offering. Here's how you guys can help me. Here's, how to pay me. I want to see this." And Claire helped out too. A lot of people who, like you said, want to see me like listen to spirit and follow these nudges, really supported me. And I'm so grateful. Like I took a bath Monday night and was just like, oh, I'm so grateful to be here. I probably even cried a little bit, just from the relief of everything. And it happened so quickly. So there's the water heater miracle. It can happen. You just have to like put it out there and believe that it'll happen, I guess, and know that people are going to support you because they care about you and they want to see you thrive.
Yes. I recently learned that prayer without faith will never work, but faith without prayer can work. And like you just gotta like and the only place for miracles to exist is in the present moment because we experience linear time. I'm vaguely gesturing, they don't understand linear time or money. They understand the now moment. That's where it can intersect. So as long as you can like be really present for like the inspiration that's coming through, take action, like, because we never know the whole journey. We just know the next right step because they don't know the whole journey. That's the thing. Like, I think like we like want certainty in the journey, but they like are like, nah, certainty's not real. You know what I mean? There's so much possibility in the world. That's what's kind of the cool thing, right? And so like there's so many ways that this hot water miracle of 2024 could have come together. But like look at that, like all of the seeds you sow just by being your true self and showing up in community, and like then your community shows up for you. But I think it's just, I love this miracle. Like this really just, it's like, to me it's like such a good testament to just following like the nudges.
Yeah, it's almost like spirits like, "You want proof? Here's proof. Here's proof that it can all work out for you. You just have to trust us and like you said, have faith." Like faith is always going to get you through. It
Yeah.
may not be exactly how you think it should look, but it'll get you through and things will happen. You have to really be careful what you ask for because they're there to help you. You got the faith and like, whoo, be careful because things can get a little crazy.
Yeah. I think something that I've been like really focused on is just saying what I want and understanding that I'm conjuring, and that when I used to be very negative, because I was, and I think in some ways like I was negative partially because it's just the society that we're in is a really negative society, and partially because like I didn't think I deserved good things. And so like now I'm just so focused on, like, this is the thing I like to say to people when they're facing uncertainty, and I say it to myself when I'm facing uncertainty. I'm looking forward to seeing how this works out for you, because I know it is. Like, I know there's an answer to this because everything is always working out for me, and like that's just the truth that I continue to declare.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I say that often. I expect miracles, which is a Wayne Dyer quote. And I wonder how all this is going to unfold. I wonder how spirit is going to show me like how magical life can be. And they're just like, they're ready for they're like, challenge accepted. I'm going to show you how magical life can be. And the more you say that, the more that you can just tap into that part of life that is unseen, but like we can have trust in the unseen and then we can see the unseen materialize right in front of our faces.
Yes, absolutely. It's so like I love all of these miracles unfolding. Manda, happy Pride Month.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy Pride Month to you, Bevan.
I would love to hear how you came out to yourself and how you came to the realization of your queer identity.
Okay. So I think it has a lot to do with um not being in a relationship and not really even having like I'm very celibate right now and have been for the last few years. I don't do hookups. I don't do um BS energy. Like I did have an ex come into my life and I entertained his BS energy for a couple months and then came to my senses and was like, no, we can't do this. This is not for me. You are lowering my vibrations and I cannot do this anymore, right?
Sometimes you
And
gotta regress a
so
little bit to realize, like, oh yeah. Like sometimes I fall off my routines to realize, oh wait, I need those. Like,
right,
yeah.
right. Right. So with this, there's I still have to like have orgasms and release that energy, right? So masturbation, right? And sometimes I need a little video to get me going, right? And so I noticed that like when I'm looking at videos, I'm not looking for videos of men.
Mm.
Like sometimes there are men involved, but mainly like I want to see like certain types of women. And so after a few times of like noticing this within myself, I'm like, I may be bisexual. I think I may be bisexual. I've never been like in a relationship with a woman. I've never had sex with a woman. But when I was a little girl, I had a really close friend, and we would like sometimes like we would play, and then like next thing you know, like we're kissing, right? And then it was like cool, but it was like weird, and I didn't quite understand it. And then like as I got older, it just kind of faded away. Um, so I think that like working with my inner child, I've been doing a lot of inner child work the last few years and just doing what feels good to me brought me to this realization.
Oh, I
So
love
that's how, yeah, that's my story.
I wanted to share that because I think a lot of people hold themselves back, myself included. When I came out to myself when I was 15, and I thought this is the tape that was going on in my head. I was very, I had a very toxic inner life at that time. And I kept saying like nobody will ever find me attractive, and so therefore I can't come out because like nobody wants to date me anyway, right? Like that was like I was so convinced of the lack of desire. Now I understand I'm a total babe, and like I'm a magnet, and like and also I understand the people, because like as I started dating and I recognized that the people I was dating, like they all had their own sort of gender meow meow. You know what I mean? Like, no, like very few people I've dated are the same gender they were the time that we dated. You know what I mean? And so like if I'm gonna date these people who are just so like changeable, because that's gender is a spectrum, and it is something that like people come into awareness of, and like also just kind of flow with too. Like some people's like it might be very resonant for them to be this at this time, and then 10 years later something else is totally resonant with them, right? And so it's not just like,
Yes.
oh, I was always in the closet. Sometimes it's just an evolution. And so for me, like I like queer as my identity because like it just kind of it's a politicized identity. It's really being at odds with like everything like heteronormative, right? But like I want to also point out that like you don't have to have queer experience in order to identify as a queer person and for your identity to be valid. So if someone out there is like listening for validation, which you don't need validation from anybody to be anything or to do anything, right? Like you could just do it because it's resonant for you. But if you're
Hmm.
looking for the stamp of approval, here's Bevan's stamp.
Yay.
But for the person out there, you can do whatever you want. You don't need my stamp of approval. Um, but I love it, and I can't wait to see who in this lifetime is going to be lucky enough to romance you.
Yeah. Who knows? I haven't come across that person yet, but I can't wait until I do. I know that they're coming. I can like spirits like, don't worry about that right now.
Mhm.
Um, that'll happen. You're going to meet somebody. They keep saying I'll meet somebody at Camp Chesterfield. So it's like, I don't even know that it's somebody, I don't think I've ever met this person at all yet. I think it's going to be someone entirely new that I do not know. And it'll evolve into something really nice. So here, I mean, I'm here for it. Whenever it's time, I'm here for it. But until then, I'm going to focus on me.
Yes, absolutely. Good. And also, Camp Chesterfield, if you want to, I go to online Sunday services with you to Camp Chesterfield every Sunday. They're awesome services. Do you want to tell a little bit about the Sunday service for anyone worldwide who wants to join on Zoom?
Yeah, absolutely. So they've changed it. They used to call it Sunday service, and now it's a Sunday spiritual gathering.
Oh, okay.
Um, just because I think they're trying to be more inclusive and they want people who have the church wound or the religious wounds to not be triggered by words. So it's pretty much the same. Like it all depends on like what medium is hosting the service as to like what the talk is about. Um, so yeah, it's hosted by Laura Stack. Typically, she's a beautiful musician who graces us with her talents most Sundays.
Yeah,
They
she
start
wasn't
off
there this
with,
past Sunday. We missed her.
oh, I think she's on tour right now with Heather Ashamara.
Oh, good for her.
Um, yeah, absolutely. And so
Anyway,
then there's like
she's a
two
great
mediums.
asset. We love her. We love
She
Lori.
absolutely. Yes, we are so blessed to have her in our community. And so typically two mediums are leading the service or gathering. One medium will do the talk, the spiritual talk, and then the other medium will do the meditation. And then they both give messages from spirit to the people who are attending the service. And sometimes they'll call you out by your name, like Bevan, I have a message for you, or they will describe your person in spirit. And then it's up to you to raise your hand. You got to be quick sometimes, there's lots of people in there who may resonate with that person. So the medium will pick whoever they're drawn to if there are several hands raised.
If
But
there's
yeah,
even a chance for your hand, I will also say I got a message this week, but it wasn't like I didn't even have the chance to raise my hand before someone else snatched the message. But it was like every single detail was about my person in spirit. It was my stepmom. Like it talked at length about cross stitching and like watching TV or listening to the radio while cross stitching, which is something my stepmom and I used to do together all the time. So it's just funny because it's like I'm taking ownership over that message, even though somebody else shot their hand out before I even had like I was trying, and so whatever, it's fine. It's like the message comes through when it needs to come through. I think the medium is just like pregnant with the energy and just wants to birth it. So
right.
yeah.
And sometimes spirit has a message for more than one person with that person with, the message that comes through. So don't be discouraged, um, if you got anything from the message, take it, right? Just take it and tuck it in. It's yours.
Yeah, it was love. It was that love. The whole message was just they have a lot of love for you, and I was like, well, great. Sometimes you get like a profound like, oh, like there was a message someone else got that I have really, I mean, it's just changed my whole life, which is like that flowers are the closest vibration on earth to angelic vibration.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's just, I work with the flowers obviously, but like, or I don't know if it's obvious to people who are new to the podcast, but I really work with the flowers, and like that message just leveled up how I interact with them and like how I observe them and connect with them, and like the energy that comes through to me from them for everybody else as I use it in my work. And so I'm really excited to go to Camp Chesterfield in person someday to a flower service, because they tell us about a flower service, what happened, or a flower spiritual gathering.
Yeah, well, it wouldn't necessarily be a flower service. It would be like a message service, right?
Oh, okay.
So you have this like message service where there are 2 to 3 mediums and they just give you message from spirit. It's not like a typical Sunday gathering. It's just like all message from spirit, no talk, no meditation. And so a lot of times at those services, the mediums will have like a tool that they use. Like they'll use oracle cards, or they'll do flame messages, or they'll do spirit art, or they'll do flower messages. And flower messages are where they'll have a bouquet of flowers, and the medium will either describe a spirit or they will choose you in the audience. And then like as they're talking, the spirit will tell them which flower to pull out of the bouquet. And then they give you like an additional message, like the flower, the certain flower means this, right? Or the certain flower means that. And so, hang on a second. I think somebody's trying to call me. I'm so sorry.
That's all right. Rude. The flame messages, my favorite thing is that they hold a little card over a candle, and then the flame like does some fun stuff on the card, and the person who gets the message gets to keep the card.
Yes. Yes. I've received flame messages. The last one I got was a cat walking away with their tail like straight up in the air. So if you just like a cat butt, basically like the cat's walking away from me. That was fun. I really enjoy like the special tool messages because then you get like a take home prize, right? Like you get this little like take home gift and you can keep it or not. Um, I can't wait to be able to give flame messages and flower messages as a part of my work there.
I look forward to when you do that because it's clearly coming. Um,
Mhm.
and what's your favorite flower message you've gotten before? And you got to keep the flower.
Um, I would say that my favorite flower messages are typically from when I get given like carnations.
Oh,
And the carnation message is like, that just means that you're like resilient, right? Because with a carnation, I have one right here from my
a
birthday
purple
bouquet,
carnation.
a purple carnation. So with carnations, you can like ball them up in your fist and like really just like squeeze them, right? And it doesn't damage the flower at all. Like it pops right back out. They're very resilient and beautiful and long lasting, like they can go the distance. And so that's the message that I would give someone if I pulled a carnation for them, right? Like, here's this carnation. This is what it means. It's purple. So that means like connection to spirit. Purple for me also means like creativity. So like, yeah, here's your flower from, your grandma, and they send you lots of love, and then like you move on to the next person.
I love it. Oh, it's so cool. And it's funny because I was just remembering a friend of mine did an article once about like, I mean, it's probably 10 years ago, and she was going up to a place in New York that seems like Camp Chesterfield, like a place with a lot of mediums. It's really
Yeah,
active.
Lily Dell.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, Lilydale. So like it's really active in the summer, and like there's a hotel on site, and like when the way she talked about it, like to me 10 years ago, what I was hearing is like it's spooky medium stuff. But like what my understanding and feeling of Camp Chesterfield is like lighthearted connection to spirit to help you feel ease on the earth plane, because there's so much more than what we experience in the material world. But like here, mediums aren't here to freak you out. They're here to like uplift humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. We should be like giving uplifting messages to help people on their journeys. Um, it's not spooky unless like you consider like spirit spooky, which a lot of people do just because of movies and things like that. And so, I mean, even like it goes back to like the beginning of time, like ghost stories, right? It's spooky, it's the unknown, it's the unseen that people are afraid of. But if you really think about it, like you can be afraid of spirit if you want to, but they're still going to be in the room with you,
Ah!
right? Like they're still going to be there, like whether you're afraid or not. So why not tap into that like unseen knowledge that they have? They can see things from a much higher perspective than we can, and like they're here to help us. And I could see where she would say it's spooky medium stuff because Camp Chesterfield, much like Lily Dell, gives off like Scooby Doo vibes, right? So like there might be a mystery, you know what I mean? There may be, you might have thought that you had like something on a table and it might be on another table now, or you might hear a knock, or you could experience spirit there. But honestly, like I think for me, it's the best because spirit is always going to help us navigate this earth walk. Like they are here, they are our team, they're with us, and um, certainly for our spirit guides, like that's their only job is to like help us navigate all these things. So I love learning who my spirit guides are and connecting with their energy and like asking them to help me because they come through every time. Spirit is much more reliable than humans are.
And they'll listen to your boundaries, unlike your toxic family. Okay, so this is a quote that I got from Colin Bedell of Queer Cosmos. He has a daily horoscope like text message that comes through. It's a voice note. And this is some stuff he said about like just kind of navigating the unseen and uncertainty. In order to be happy, we need to develop a strong tolerance for ambiguity, right? Like just like I was saying before, like everything is possible, but you got to actually just be in the realm of possibilities. Trauma thinking is in black and white. Like just this or that, but actually there's thousands of possibilities if we're open to it. We need to embrace the mystery. Um, we need to develop an ability to allow, forgive, and maintain a certain degree of anxiety, because like we don't know. Anxiety is fear of the future, right? And then we just have to have a willingness to not know or even need to know. And something that spiritual teachers have talked a lot about, and like where I'm at in A Course in Miracles, is just talking about like not letting the past define the present. Because like we have if we have a cup, we know it's breakable because we have past experience breaking cups. But like actually, we don't know that this is going to break. You know what I mean? Like I've dropped lots of things that I was like, oh, it could have broken and it didn't, like. So instead of just assuming things are going to be the way they've always been, having a childlike wonder around like what's unfolding. And like, I think people get really caught up in the mystery because we're just it's coloniality. You know what I mean? We're like we're given this idea that the police keep us safe. We're given this idea that like, a job is going to keep you safe when we know that a job can disappear at will, right? Like at their will at any moment. And we also know that like, objectively the police exist to protect capital and rich people. So, anyway, that's just myths that are taught to us to help us feel safe, but actually I'm excited to teach people how to feel safe relying on their spirit guides to help guide them because they want you to win. Like they're in partnership with your soul to help you reach where you're meant to go.
Yes.
Speaking of that, tell us about medium development because you are like well on your way, much faster than you thought, to developing into a full ass medium.
Yes, I am. So I started mediumship development classes in December, or maybe like late November. Um, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, what was gonna happen. Reverend Meg Wilsifer invited me to her mediumship class, and so I showed up and um gave messages for the first time, which was like nothing. It was like hardly anything came out, right? But since then, I've developed like this practice of going every 2 weeks, and so before mediumship development class, I take a salt bath. I sit with my guides. I kind of prime the pump or bankroll messages. I like to call it pre-gaming with my guides. I like to have a little pre-game sesh in the bathtub with a candle.
A different
I
kind of
now
free gaming than in a previous Manda's life.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I do have a little tokes, but like no shots, no shots. Um, and so I have my candle, I have my crystals, which I now have a crystal ball, so I take that in there with me too to see what I can see in the ball. And I just relax. I feel like it's easier for me to get messages in there because like it's the only space in my home where like there are no interruptions, there's no disturbances, no one's gonna come and interrupt that flow. And so I just relax and start receiving messages. We typically give 3 messages in class. So as long as I get that, I feel good about it. And then I go to class. Although there have been a few curveballs thrown at me as well. For example, in October, or no, not in October. So twice a year. Okay, let me just back up. Camp Chesterfield is a spiritualist college. You can go there and you can learn how to be a medium. You can learn how to be a healer. You can learn how to be a metaphysician, which is a magician, essentially. You can become ordained as a reverend, or you can just be an associate minister as well. And so twice a year, they have week-long class sessions where people come in from out of town, and all of these classes are like in person on the grounds. It's a full week of classes. And at the end of the week, they have a student party with like food and raffles and a student psychic fair. So then like the people who are there as students will give messages to whoever wants to buy a reading, right? And a lot of times it's going to be like your teachers. They want to support you. They want to see what you got, right? So they're doing that. So in April, I attended a week-long session. And that was a really busy week for me because my granddaughter Lavender was born. So I was like going 45 minutes away every afternoon to be with them, and then coming back the following morning after like sleeping in the hospital to take my 2 classes that I took during the week-long session, and then like back to the hospital, right? Lavender was born on April 24th at 6:43 p.m.
A
She's
Taurus
doing
with a
great.
Scorpio moon like me, and Libra rising, so she's a friend to everyone. It's the chill vibes we were all hoping for.
Absolutely. But every other planet literally is in Aries.
Aries.
So we'll see. But no, she's a really chill baby. She's adorable. Um, and so Friday of that week, they were having like an open mic night essentially in the chapel. All week long, there was mediumship practice class taking place in the chapel, but they said, Reverend Terry Ryan's like, Fridays, open mic night. You can come and you can give messages without having to be in the class, or you can like just sit in the audience and receive messages because like they got to have people there to give messages to, right? And so I'm like, all right, it's Friday. They've been released from the hospital, or maybe like I just don't have to go to the hospital. I can't remember. So I'm like, I'm going to go to the chapel and rest and receive messages. I can't rest at home because in my mind, like there's so many things to do that like I just couldn't rest at home. So I'm like, I'm going to go over there. So I go to the chapel and I walk in and I see Reverend Michelle Euler and Reverend Terry Ryan, and like I'm telling them that like I'm there to rest and I'm not doing message work and I'm just really tired and blah blah blah. And Reverend Michelle is like, "That's great. What a perfect place to rest. This is good." And Reverend Terry Ryan said, "Okay, we'll talk about that a little later." And I was just like, "What? What's happening right now?" Right? So I'm watching like mediums give messages and um, in the meantime, I have spirit in my ear telling me he's going to make you give messages. Reverend Terry Ryan is going to make you get up and give messages in this chapel. And I was like, no, I'm tired, spirit. They're like, it's happening. It's happening. Right. And so it gets closer to like the end of the people who are standing up and um, a spirit comes in and he's like, it's Reverend Meg Wolsifer's dad. He's like, I'm here. Kim's here. Kim Wolsifer, Meg's wife. Like, she's here. You're going to give her a message from me. I got your back. Don't worry about it. It's going to be great. And so, sure enough, like I'm the last person that could give messages in the chapel. And Reverend Terry Ryan's like, all right, Amanda, let's just get up and see what comes out. Right. Let's just try and see what happens. And so I got up and I gave messages. The first one went to Kim. It was from her father-in-law, obviously. And then I had a message for my friend Mary Ann, and then a message for Reverend Michelle, which when Spirit said, this next one's for Reverend Michelle. And I was like, really, guys? And they're like, yeah, give it to her. You're going to be great. And so I gave her message. And that was it. That's all I had to do. And they all told me that I did a really great job. And then that night, I also was a student reader at the psychic fair. Bless you, Bevan. For anyone not watching, Bevan sneezed.
I quick
Um,
muted. I was trying not to be disturbed.
yes. So Reverend Charles signed me up for the student psychic fair. I agreed to it. I mean, not at first. He was just like, hey, do you want to do the student psychic fair? And I was like, I don't think I'm ready for that. And he said, yes, you are. Don't you have oracle cards or something that you can use? And I'm like, no, I only have like 17 decks.
You have more
Fine,
than 17 decks.
I know, I do. And so I gave messages that evening as well at the student party. I did for an hour. I worked for an hour and did 10-minute readings. Reverend Charles was one of them. Reverend Meg was another. And then there was another medium that has a house on camp named Bev Everett. And her reading was really good. I actually pulled cards for her from my pocket animal oracle deck by Colette Baron Reed. And like I showed her, like I pulled a buck and then I pulled a deer, a doe. And after the reading, she pulled out her phone and showed me pictures of deer that are like by her property and it must be like a farm next to her house or something. But these deer look just like the deer on the cards. And she's like, you did a really good job. You were so dead on, like on everything you said. You're doing great. And so that made me feel really good. And then I won like 4 prizes in the raffle that night also. I got a magic wand. I got a goddess bundle. Like when I saw the goddess bundle, I was like, oh, that's for me because like I'm looking around. I'm like, I'm the only person here who identifies as a goddess. It's mine, right? I won a reading with Andrew Light and a few other things, but it turned out to be a really good evening. And since then, like it happens over and over again. I have to sometimes get up and give messages when I'm not expecting that. And I've also been asked to like help with the message services this summer, which I haven't totally said yes to, but Meg, my development teacher, thinks that that I would be good at it. And they're thinking of involving students with the message services. And so I will probably be doing that as well. And being like on the platform in the chapel in October for the student services, because they have the week-long sessions, and then like they have student services 2 or 3 times during that week as well in the evening, where students are either like giving the talk because they're becoming consecrated as a reverend and being ordained, or they're like giving messages because they're there for mediumship development. So I'll be doing that as well. It's all just unfolding so quickly.
And it's not just Camp Chesterfield who gets the opportunity to utilize Manda's mediumship. You can DM Manda through the links in the show notes and schedule an oracle reading / mediumship reading / whatever, or buy a cake with her.
Yes, yes.
A Reiki healing. There's so many things you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. A Reiki healing. I can do a cord cutting ritual to kind of disconnect the cords between you and another person or thing or place. I could do energy clearings. I can do Reiki sessions, like you said, group Reiki sessions, group meditations, group energy clearings, Reiki infused cake, cinnamon rolls, cookies, all kinds of treats. I've had so much space to make and like try new recipes and new things that I had never made before. So there's lots of offerings. I also have a website, which Bevan will happily post the link for in the podcast caption.
Yeah, I sure will. Okay, let's talk about your magical Gemini birthday. And I wish that I had the special effect of glitter coming out of my hand as I say that. Your magical Gemini birthday, which was just recently, and you got to go to a Qveen Herby concert. We are big Qveen Herby fans in this house. So tell us about the concert.
Gosh, you want to hear about the whole trip or just the concert? Because it was all pretty spectacular.
I want to hear about the concert specifically. Like, what does Qveen Herby do? How does she bring people in? What did you wear?
Okay. So I wore matching outfits with my friend Janae, and then so we went to Baltimore, Maryland from Indianapolis for this concert. And I had picked out the dresses. Janae sent me like 100 screenshots of dresses. And I picked out a dress, right? Janae's a Libra. She's very indecisive. I love her to death. But I have no
And likes
problem
to,
making a decision.
and Libras like to look good, you know? So,
Yes, yes, yes. And so I pick a dress, we order it, great. So we get to Janelle's, and then like we're getting ready, and Janelle's like, I have that same dress. I bought that dress 2 years ago. And so then she goes to dig out this dress out of her closet because she also has the same matching dress. And we all three wore matching dresses.
oh,
So they were like dresses with like black tops and then like kind of a sheer bottom. And it had gold, like the sun, the moon, the stars, witchy things like that. Um, Janae decided that my dress needed an upgrade. So she kind of dressed me a little bit. She's like, all right, put your dress on, and then we're going to put your bra over your dress. And then we're going to put this other thing over your bra, like this other like bra cover. I don't know what it's called, but at first I was like, what? And she's like, just trust me. And so I'm like, all right, I'm into trusting right now. So let's do it. And it looks great. And then I had this little black lace, like over thing to go over it. And I had fishnets that have like cute little rhinestones that I got from my Amazon wish list for my birthday. And I wore black boots, and I had a tiara. Janelle bought me a tiara. And Janae did my hair like in an updo. So like all my curls were like dangling. And of course I did my makeup and put on red lipstick, and we looked fabulous. And then Janelle's daughter, Leah, it was her first concert. I think she's like 13. It was her first concert, and she wore like a red puffy dress. It was super cute. Um, So we drive 45 minutes from Janelle's to Baltimore and park and then go inside this venue. And the venue is pretty small. It's like a bar with a stage, basically, right? It holds like 1,500 people. And so we go in and I go over to the merch table because like I gotta buy a shirt, right? So I bought a shirt. Shout out to my nephew Fred and Carla for sending me t-shirt money. And then I get as close to the stage as like we can get, which was only like 3 rows back, honestly, like counting VIP. Um, and so we stand there and first a DJ comes out. He was her opener. I think he's called Sweet Spot. And he just like hyped up the crowd, right? And played a bunch of cool songs. And then like they started setting up the stage for Qveen Herby. And like she has this cool backdrop that looks like her house because of House of Herbie. And a chair and like a table with like a crystal ball, which is really like a clear beach ball, and her red telephone and just all these little like props for her. This little like changing room that's like just like, a curtain on like a circular rod. Um, and so when Qveen Herby came out, like the whole stage is dark. She's walking across the stage and she's in this awesome purple magician's cape, but it's like covers her whole body, right? It's like a baggy hat that's like covered her whole head, right? And then like these baggy arms and like the bottom kind of like poofs out so it looks larger than like what she is. And so she like makes her way over to the middle of the stage and she's like facing her house backdrop. And then she's like throwing her arms up like Mickey Mouse and Fantasia, like when he's doing his whole like magician thing, right? And she's like
Ah.
throwing all these like energies around. And then like she finally like turns around and like takes the hood off and like starts singing, right? And I don't even remember what song it was. It was really cool though. And eventually she like comes out of the cloak and she's in this outfit with like a black top and then like a poofy like long skirt um with her signature like red boots and striped black and white pantyhose stockings. And she's amazing. Like everything that you see on videos of Qveen Herby, like she is just like that on stage as well, but you can like feel the energy. Like what I said earlier, when I go to concerts, I'm like a crystal under the full moon, like soaking in all this energy, right? And so like she does a few songs and then she's like, what do you guys want to hear next? And they're like, rabbit hole. And she's like, it's too early to go down the rabbit hole. We can't go down the rabbit hole this early. And so like she does more songs and then like she decides it's time to change. And like she goes into her little changing thing and comes out with like just like a tank top and skirt outfit on. Still had her red boots and her striped stockings on. And she did all the hits. She performed all the hits. And she even came out after she changed. She had a suitcase of wigs because she sells wigs that like look like her hairstyle, right? The short black hair with the bangs and like just short hair. And she threw some of those out for the people in the crowd. And just, her set was probably, I'd say, about an hour and 15 minutes long. She does go and then comes back out for an encore performance. And it was amazing. It was like, she's like one of the best performers I've ever watched. And you know that I go to a lot of concerts. But it's just like, it's her and all her stuff. And then like, there's a guy, I don't think it was her husband, Jedi Nick, but there's a guy that wears a suit and like plays her tracks and he has blonde hair and he like did all the setup on the stage and then like he comes in and like moves things out of her way or puts things where they should be for like where she wants them next, right?
She also did, you said she did a grounding exercise and like did an
Oh yeah.
for
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. She did. She's like, hey, do you guys want to ground with me real quick? So she had us like take a deep breath and put roots in the ground, like as far down to the earth as we could go into like the core of the earth. And then like bring that energy back up. And then she spritzed us with her bottle of like aura cleansing spray. She just went down across the stage and like, just spritzed us all. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to be a whole new upgraded person that will unfold even more since I've experienced her show.
I mean, she made that declaration too, and like intention is so magical. So like, I'm going to say this to the podcast listeners, like you're going to be a different version of yourself after this podcast because there's something in here that's going to spark something in you that wants to be born. And
Yes.
I think we forget, I mean, okay, in a life full of lots of trauma, um, trauma is defined as an event where things are going to be different irrevocably after whatever the event is. And a lot of our experience of trauma that lingers from childhood is because no one was with us to sit with the experience. But like we can have that happen with good things too. And I think we forget
Yes.
about like how these things are helping us continuously unfold. And as I've paid more attention and ritualized new moon and full moon, I recognize how different I am to in 2 week cycles. You know what I mean? Like, because I'm constantly unfolding and releasing old patterns and old personalities and aligning more with what wants to be created in the universe, because the universe wants us to create, not to stagnate. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Um,
I agree. The trauma gets stuck because we don't process it because no one will sit with us, like you said. But yeah, if we can sit with those good experiences too and transform the energies in our bodies. Yes.
yeah. And like, and we can also sit with little versions of ourselves when traumas come up. That's reparenting, right? And so,
Yes.
because your child is going to get hurt whether it's a good way or a bad way. So um
Right.
okay, I want to do a goddess update before we wrap up the show for the goddess sisterhood. Now that you and I are both no longer facilitators of the goddess sisterhood, we are both facilitator emeritus or whatever you want to call it. And so what are we doing as a sisterhood? What's up?
Okay. So I would like to consider us as like we're part of like the elder tribe now. We're the elder circle of we can give advice, we can still help lead, but we don't have to be so involved in all the planning and everything. Although I do still love to be involved in planning because I have a Virgo, well, I have a Virgo moon,
Yeah.
and I feel like that really helps me with that. So right now, we have Andrea as our facilitator. Lucy is our vice facilitator, and she's fairly new to our community, but she wanted to just dive in. So we're an equal opportunity goddess circle who allows anyone to step into leadership if they would like to. And so those are the facilitators. We still have Jerry as treasurer and Sweet Kendra as scribe. And then we have like floaters, like Tori's still a floater and she helps scribe sometimes. I would consider myself kind of a floater too. I definitely work with Jerry um, on the finances, like keeping track of all the money. Um, so that's what's going on with like who's running the show. But we have a retreat coming up next weekend for summer solstice and the full moon. We're having the Summer Strawberry Moon Fest
Pew, pew,
in
pew.
Wisconsin, and I cannot wait. Oh, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We have lovely meals planned. I have meditations planned, and we'll be on a lake, just vibing each other up. You know how it goes every time we get together, like it's a glow up. We all come out of it better people than we were before. And so I'm excited for that to happen.
Yeah, we set that intention when we get together is to just glow each other up. And even if it's a small retreat of like under 20 people or under 17 people, this one will be. And or like, previous versions have been much larger up to I would say 150.
Absolutely. But that was intentional for this. We wanted our first in-person retreat to be intimate and to be just our core group of people who are here together to just help bring it in, to help usher in all the great retreats that we will have after this, because we do still plan on having like publicly open retreats for goddesses in the future. And I'm excited for every one of those. They're going to be great.
Yeah, but I mean, I think like many hands make light work, and we're kind of proving out like how this iteration of the sisterhood is unfolding and how we can make it happen, and like I think it's
Yes.
beautiful how we're working together. And I'm excited to go. I'm excited to just get the opportunity to go and be with everyone because that's the most important thing. And I'm excited to eat chocolate cake from Manda's Reiki Bakery for breakfast one morning. I've been thinking about this for months.
Yes, there will be chocolate cake there. There will also be a vanilla cake with strawberry and a pineapple upside down cake, I believe.
Oh, wild.
3 cakes. I'll
Pre-K.
make sure we have plenty of cake. We'll be there for a few days, so it'll be fun.
I'm excited. Amanda, thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me on your podcast again, Bevan. Anytime you ask, I will gladly accept.
Oh, yeah, great. And I'm really excited for everyone to just remember the hot water heater miracle of 2024. That can happen for you. So when you're in a situation that knocks you on your tushy, just remember the hot water heater miracle of 2024. Like miracles are coming. I'm looking forward to seeing how it works out for you.
Yes, absolutely. Stay on your high flying disc and just know that help is coming.
Yes. I love you, Amanda.
I love you.